up, and maybe you could break the opponent's contact point and get a short reply that you could actually flip the tables and start to attack. And that would be ideal, to go from an uncomfortable position to a position where you could actually hurt your opponent and go on the attack. So that's slightly different than what I said about neutralizing. If maybe in Juju's mind, he's thinking he wants to neutralize. And he can hit the same shot. That's awesome. Juju, come on, round of applause.
Yeah.
Right. That's an awesome defense. I mean, for 10 years, he just turned 11 last week. That's a great shot. Great shot. And you can teach your young ones if you have young players. Did any of you guys work with kids or mostly adults? A little mix. I work mostly with kids myself, but not too many adults. But that's an awesome shot. Alexis, you want to try to? All right, so this is the backward feed. And in Spain, they do a lot of feeding like this, up close. You'll see Emilio doing this as well. But most coaches work up close. By the way, but all of these movements that I'm going to show you can be done with the racket across the net if you prefer. I really prefer coaching this way because not only for the flexibility it allows me with my hands, but also because I can see the player very well. I can look at their techniques and their balance more easily than from far away. And I have a much better communication with the player. I find I can really get to know this player. I can feel what they're feeling better. I can empathize with them better from this position than from far away. And I think in the US, to be honest, I think we teach way too much from far away. Ready? That's a good defense. We'll get back in. Need more height on it. Okay. Yeah, come back on the V. Like imagine you're on clay. It's really great because you can actually trace it. If you get a chance to teach on clay, I'm very fortunate. I teach at a clay court club, so I can actually trace the lines on the court. You could also use chalk or some kind of. You could use like some of the markers that we have to kind of show young players to visualize the X moving on the X. It's a great way to do it. On clay, you can actually map it out. You can trace that. So on a hard court, the players can get a little bit lost in their court position because they can't quite see their tracks. On clay, you can kind of see your footsteps. How was that defense? Yeah, so what would happen in the match if you did that defense? Maybe not a winner, but remember, you can play more defense, but you would probably be in trouble, right? We actually call that area. If the player in my program, if the players hit in this area, we call it the danger area, the danger zone. There's a lot of different names for it, but you definitely want to encourage your players to hit the ball past the danger area. In this area, we call it zone 3. In the Sanchez system, which is the Pablo Alvarez lineage of Spain, they have a 3-zone system, and they call this area zone 3. So if I use the term zone 3, we try to get the players to drive the ball deep to zone 3 for a proper defense. Let's do a few more. That's pretty good height, but you need a lot of racket speed to make the ball, to create more RPM, to make the ball dip, and then it will kick more on the other side. Okay, very good. Alexis has a great backhand. We were watching that yesterday when she was working out with Mark Bay. So what you can do with this exercise is it's very flexible, and there's actually there's many variations that you can do. If you saw, I gave Alexis a short one. So if you see that the player, let's say Alexis is a really good defense, then you can give the player a reward and show them a short one, so that they develop this tactical concept that after they hit a good defense, they can start to move forward and initiate an attack. And that's a way to train your players, not only with just the footwork, but also in their mind. It's important to train the mind and the eyes, and of course the feet, and of course the hands. Again. Oh, that's a great defense. That's awesome. Round of applause. That's an awesome defense. Go on. Can you get like a moonball? Same shot, but like a moonball? Just like kind of like too high. A lot of kids when you start working on this, sometimes they play like high like that. Like I if your players play kind of a moon ball, that can be a good defense, but I don't think it's an aggressive defense. I don't want to teach kids to go back and hit a moon ball. It's very important to go back and then use the maximum acceleration of the racket. Never to go back and swing with a racket like this. The racket has to move like a whip. Right? Yeah, a little more cross. That's awesome. I had a bit more acceleration there with the racket. It didn't quite dip, but almost. But if I was working with you a lot, you get more and more acceleration until that ball is heavy and heavy and heavy. Okay. So you earn an attack. Why are you moving back? You did a great defense. Okay, switch it up. So I want to go through some other exercises, but I have to tell you this is the most famous drill in Spain. You go everywhere in Spain and you will see this drill at all the top academies, and I visited just about all of them. And from coach to coach, doesn't matter. Different coaches have different variations that they like to do, but you will see some variation of the X move because it's such a fundamental exercise because it teaches players the concept of moving back to absorb a difficult shot and then to move forward to attack. So it's a very important thing. And I like to teach it to young players. Sometimes you want to teach it in tandem with maybe holding the line too. Let me show you a couple variations. That's probably some of you are saying like, well, what about on the rise? Or what about taking the ball early? Because that's also a very important skill. But this is kind of a separate subject. You teach kids to go back and absorb, and then you can also concurrently, teach kids sometimes to hold the line. So sometimes you'll see like, if you see Jose Higueras do this exercise with the USTA, sometimes the USTA coach will go like this. Ready? Go back, defense. That's awesome, defense, Juju. Defense. And then you take this one on the rise. Don't go back. Okay, so you can do some adjustments like that. If you're a big believer in taking the ball early, or if you have a certain player and that's their game style to take the ball early, you can definitely make some adjustments that way. I'll show you another variation that the USTA does. In Spain, in the Pato Alvarez lineage in Spain, Pato Alvarez is a big believer in the shuffle, which in Spain is called the double rhythm. So the footwork is called double rhythm. It looks like a shuffle. And a lot of coaches from the U.S. have been quite critical of that movement. Like they almost, some coaches call it a little sarcastically, like the hop step, or like the way a horse moves. But actually, I think it's quite efficient just for a simple way to move back. It's not very fast though. It's more of a stable movement. And you will see if you watch Rafa or you watch Ferrer, or you always see those guys when they're going back, they're using that shuffle step. It's called the double rhythm. And what the USPTA has done with Jose Higueras is they've added a crossover to make that a little faster. You want to try that with a crossover? As you go back, ready? So you just cross first and then shuffle. Just one cross. That. Wow, that's beautiful. Round of applause. Come on. Just to show you that you have some of the classic methods from Spain with this X drill, like with the Pato Alvarez drill. If Pato Alvarez, he's getting pretty old now, he's almost in his 80s. If he saw that, he would flip out, because he's a strong believer that you don't cross your legs. But here in the US, we've made some adjustments to the classic Spanish system, and this is a bit more progressive. One other variation, Alexis, I'll show you one more variation that you can do. So this is from Pato Alvarez, where he'll use his racket. He believes strongly that the player should see the racket, the ball leaving the racket, rather than just from the hand. So he does a lot of up close feeding with the racket, actually, just like this. So this is a little more advanced. I wouldn't do this with younger players or inexperienced players, but Alexis is quite good, and this would be a nice variation. You could use this with your advanced players. So it's going to be a little tough. It's actually going to create some topspin and push you back. All right, so you go. Very difficult right there. Now you might go like this. You might go back. Okay, so this is much more intensive. It adds a little topspin to the ball, And this simulates, you might say, well, when is the player going to get a ball like this on an indoor hardcourt? Maybe not so much, but if you go to Europe and you see the way the players play there with heavy topspin, the player will receive a ball like this quite frequently with heavy topspin. You'll see a ball like this quite frequently. Okay. So that's the X drill. How are we doing on time, Bruce? That's it? Okay, so that's the X drill. Very famous drill. Fundamental drill you see all over Spain, and now you're seeing it all over the US because of Emilio Sanchez's work, and also because of Jose Higueras, who's in charge of the USPTA. He's been promoting that here in the US. So you're starting to see this drill all over the United States now. But unfortunately, I see it done a lot incorrectly, and the key to the drill is what you say to the player. It's not the exercise itself. It's what you transmit to the player, the knowledge, and what you see in the player's movement. Okay, so the next one I want to show you guys. This is from the Bruguera lineage in Spain. This is not from the Pato Alvarez lineage. This is from the Bruguera lineage. Juju, Juju's done this before, but you can see how it's a little tricky. Yeah, this is called reaction. And I studied with Mr. Bruguera a lot, and he's quite brilliant. And what this drill works on is the reaction of the player, and also Mr. Bruguera is really big on working on the eyes, the reading skills of the player. So what I'm going to ask Juju to do is try to watch my hands, and I'm going to move him up and back, forward for the attack and back on the defense. If he moves back on the defense, I want him to play, like we said before, a deep, strong ball to zone 3, past the danger area. If I bring him forward, I want him to set up with balance and make an attack, an aggressive shot that will hurt the opponent. So he's working on his footwork and balance, but he's also working on his mind. How he's going to, if he receives this type of ball in a match, he's going to play it in the same way. Ready, bud? You have to watch my hands. We're just going to do the forehand side. Ready? Go. Nice, ready? Watch my hands, watch my hands. Okay, very good. Okay, very good. So if you see, we've isolated one side here. We're doing just forehand side, but you can also do the backhand side. And then I will show you one from mine. But sometimes if you do this with players who are not, well, he's done this a lot with me. Actually, they don't track very well with their eyes. A lot of times they're maybe watching their shot, or this happens a lot with a lot of players. I work with mainly tournament players, but they'll hit a shot and then they'll just kind of watch, observe their shot, so you're kind of training the player to hit their shot and immediately recover, and also learn with their eyes to read better, to read what's going on over there, and also to read the next shot coming. You want to read your opponent's body language, you want to read your opponent's technique, and you want to try to read your opponent's intention tactically. And then when your opponent hits the ball, you need to read that ball and position yourself in a good way to receive the ball. All right, ready? You want to try that? It's fun. So you watch my hands, and I'm just going to take you up and back. If you come here, though, this is more attack. And if you go back, you try to play a solid defense. Any questions, guys? Yes, sir. Yes. For a hard hit shot? Yeah, so these exercises are more for working on the movement and balance and training the mind. And then when a player is doing live ball exercise, we're going to try to do some live ball at the end today. I'm probably going to run out of time. I ran out of time yesterday. But then the player will learn to adapt their position based on the speed of the ball. But like I said, you can do this from the other side with the racket and for advanced players, and then you can really start to mix up different spins and different paces. But But you can take the same exercise and do it with the racket on the other side. And does that answer? The question you asked is actually a very big debate about how to play. Like, if the ball's coming fast, should you back up or should you hold your ground and take it on your eyes? I think that's what you're getting at. You know, for example, what the USPTA teaches and what Jose Higueras teaches is if the ball is coming relatively soft, the way I'm tossing it, you would probably hold the line. The player would probably hold their ground. But we're working on this in a kind of a manufactured way. We're trying to teach a player who doesn't know how to move that way. If the ball is coming faster, Jose would say, you would absorb that more. Does that make sense? One more. I'm going to combine it now. So I'll show you how you can do it with. When you're just starting out, you would do this only on one side because it's a very difficult exercise. They're kind of making it look easy because they're really high level players, but we'll do both. Okay, ready? So you can mix and use the entire core. And maybe you can visualize that I'm always thinking about the X. When I'm coaching a player, I say, okay, I want to get this player to move on somewhere along the X, back and forth, back and forth. This back and forth flow of a player's movement is very typical in Spain. You will see it in all the exercises have a flow forward and back. In the US, you tend to see exercises that are more like left and right. But in Spain, they do a lot of back and forth flow, from offense to defense. Ready, bud? Very good. Read the ball and go. Go. Come on. Okay, bravo. Good job, buddy. Let's just work right. Normally, the repetition range for this exercise is maybe 8 or 10. This one is not a long endurance one. If you've read my book, The Secrets of Spanish Tennis, you may know that a lot of the drills in Spain are long, but this one is quite short. It's more of a quick burst type exercise, more anaerobic. A lot of the drills in Spain are aerobic. They're very long drills. Right? Play cross. But try to use your mind as well. Wherever the ball is, wherever you receive it, try to make the right type of shot for that position. Especially as the players are more advanced, you should always try to work the footwork and movement in conjunction with the tactical. And that involves the mind. Sometimes we disconnect footwork with the mind, and then you're just basically a trainer. You're just an athletic trainer at that point. It's much better as a coach, as a tennis coach, to connect the mind with the footwork. You're going to get better results if you integrate the two. Sometimes, if we just focus on what's happening with the technique of the feet, then you can get good footwork, but you don't get a player. You get someone who moves well but doesn't know how to hit the ball. Okay, ready? If you go back, you try to play the heavy ball we did before, play that cross. If you come forward, maybe, like let's say you played this one cross, and you came forward on this side. Where would you put that ball? Probably. Why? With the other player over there, right? You try to think about the scenarios as you're working your footwork. Right? Okay. Come on. Okay. Use your eyes. Try not to watch your shot. Come on. That. Come on. Balls. Very good. Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, typically in Spain, it's one of the brilliant things they do in Spain. They usually only put 2 players on one court. And that's one of the secrets of Spanish tennis is they never put 4 or 5 or 6, never. Unless it's summertime and the camp's really busy. Sometimes. I'm not going to name that academy. Typically, they only have 2, and this is how they work. And one player, maybe if it's an aerobic drill, they might do 60 balls. Like they use buckets, 60 to 80 balls, like they use like a Home Depot butt-sized bucket. homer bucket. And then one player will do the work in that bucket, and then while that player is doing maybe a half a bucket, then the other player will pick up, and they'll just go like that for an hour and a half or 2 hours without. That'll be how they work. That's how they work. That's how they work. If you have three players, you can do it this way as well. 3 players. So in my school in New York, the court time is very expensive. So to put 2 players on the court, I think I wouldn't have a business. So I do 3. I won't do 4. Because 4, if you put 4 here and it doesn't work, there's too much downtime and the players don't get a workout. As the players get higher level, they need to go closer to 2 players so they get more, so the intensity is higher. You can't have too much waiting around. 4 players, not so good here. I recommend 3 or 2. To try to make the Spanish system work with 4, 5, or 6 players per court, it doesn't work. And I think that many players per court is not conducive to high performance. Okay, another exercise from the Bruguera lineage. This is called the emergency exercise. Mr. Bruguera calls this the emergency drill. And this is a lateral movement drill. The first 2 exercises I showed you were for mostly a flow forward and back, defense to offense. This exercise trains more of the lateral movement. So we're going out into a very uncomfortable place and trying to recover. Okay, ready? We're going to isolate one side. That's too high. It might work, but we're not trying to create moonballs. We want an aggressive defense. Go. Okay, that's really awesome. Good job. Let's go. Let's do 6 or 8. Come on, recover. Okay, beautiful. So, when you're doing this exercise, usually it's about 6 or 8 balls. You could do longer. I'm going to show you a variation that's longer. But I don't want to get too much into the technical details. I think we have a footwork expert coming later to work on the details. I do work on a lot of the technical details with my younger students who are they're not as agile. Maybe they don't have good balance. But if you notice, I don't know if you saw the last one, like Juju set up here, then his body weight shifted forward, and he lost his balance. But when you're doing these exercises, it's very important to look for the balance of the player as they're moving, and also to look for efficiency of the movement, of the technical movement of their feet. So you want to get to the root of footwork training. There's a lot of footwork training that is very elaborate, very detailed, and also wastes a lot of time. You want to get to the heart of the matter with the player. You want to save the development time. You focus on efficiency of movement, which means good technique and balance for me as a coach. And then if I'm working with, if I have a player and they have additional agility and speed issues and footwork issues, I will refer them to a performance specialist, someone who really works on movement all the time. And I think that's the best way to go as a coach. Don't try to do everything yourself. Always work with experts. Don't try to be an expert in everything. So when you hit that shot, try to maintain a good body posture in the corner and don't tip over. Okay? But remember, it's not the drill itself, like all these really cool drills. It's your knowledge and it's what you're conveying to the player about their movement, their mind, their footwork. That's what matters. It's not just the exercise. I can't stress that enough because you start to see a lot of these Spanish exercises around here in this country, but the coach is not conveying the philosophy or how the mind should be working and how the feet should be working, for example. Okay, let's go. Out. Come on. You can surprise, and you can go back, or you can play here. But there are a lot of options. I'm just trying to give you a basic overview of some of the different movements, and you guys are good coaches. You can create your own variations, and depending on your the player that's in front of you, and depending on how you want to mix it up. Alexis, you want to try that? I think you're working on this with Mark yesterday. He was talking. So Mark Bay was talking yesterday. He was getting into some detail about how the foot needs to pivot. I don't know if I don't know if he said the inside foot. Did he say your outside or inside? Inside. Okay, so like that's an example of a technical detail. It might be important if a player is not doing that. That's important. But a lot of players might do that naturally, like you do it very, very well. And then you want to pick and choose what you want to spend a lot of time on, and what do you want to. If a player does that naturally, you don't want to overteach something that a player already does well. That's it. So, what do you guys think about that one? Any thoughts? Was it a good defense? Well, how deep did it go? How deep did it go? Right. So I don't think it's going to be an effective defense. How is the movement, the physical skill of the movement? Did anyone with a technical eye? Take a shot at that? It was great movement. Beautiful movement, agility. Did you see the extreme stretch? I mean, she stretched out very wide and she maintained a beautiful dynamic balance. The movement was beautiful, but the shot was not so good. So you have to separate it. If you see a player at Alexis's level is probably going to move pretty good. But if we have younger players, beginners or adults, they may not move very well there, and you may have to spend more time working on the technical skill. Try to work on the height and depth. That one's going to get killed, right? Okay. That one was too close to your body. Another important thing, guys, is you always work on the positioning of the body in relation to the ball. So in Spain, there's an obsession about the contact point. The last forehand that Alexis hit, she was too close to the ball, and then she lost some of the RPMs on the shot. So in Spain, I can't stress it enough that the coaches are obsessed with as the ball is traveling, what the player does with their body to position themselves well. And so in that one, I feel like your position was a little close, but you didn't get the rotation on the ball, and the ball flew a little long.
So how do you describe that optimum distance?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it comes from seeing it a lot, like with your eye, but the optimum distance is, I wrote about this in my book, it's when the player is balanced, so you don't see any disruption to the center of gravity of the player, so the player has good posture and you can see a nice extension of the arm. If you see the arm, this is going to relate to the technique, because sometimes a player is maybe very cramped with their backhand or their forehand, and the problem is not that they're cramped, it's not the swing, it's the problem is their position. So oftentimes if you fix the positioning, you start to see the extension of the swing much better. But specifically for getting, like in Spain, they're also obsessed with topspin and hitting the ball and swinging very fast. So the contact point is critical for that. To develop a good topspin, you need to have good spacing and you need to have your body. If you swing really fast and your body is kind of off balance, you make a lot of mistakes. So in Spain, they spend a lot of time getting the player balanced so they can work on developing acceleration with control. Sorry, that's too low, right? Give yourself more time. Okay, that was awesome. Good job. Applause. Let's go to applause. That was awesome. So if you hit one like that, I think you're going to be probably in pretty good shape to get back to neutral. You might not be on the attack, but at least your job is mainly to get back to neutral. And you're in trouble. If you're out there, you're in trouble. Let's see your back. How do you do this? Go. Okay, a little more height, right? More racket speed, more speed. Okay, very good. Come on. Okay, good. And I like when you have the attack, you squeeze the time and take that ball as early as you can. That's good. All right. So that's the emergency drill when you're running out wide. The main coaching objectives when you're looking at a player is to get out there with balance, get a comfortable stance, receive the ball well, and most importantly, accelerate. But most kids would do it. Do you want to demonstrate it? Can you just hit kind of a pushing shot? Like most kids, when they're in an uncomfortable position, will tend to push because they feel nervous, they feel pressure, and they're going to decelerate their swing. So what they work a lot in Spain is when you get in an uncomfortable place, they work a lot on actually accelerating the racket and not decelerating the racket. So just kind of hit like, most kids will kind of like, yeah, or, you know, just kind of like swing slow, you know. Yeah, you know, that's a typical junior shot. Now do one with more acceleration, see if you can get it right. So he's in the same place. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that if you have a good technical eye, but that was a much better acceleration. And that's what you want if you want to develop a world-class player. If you want to develop a pretty good like D3 college player, then by all means let them do that. But if you want to develop a world-class player or a top Division I player, you need to teach acceleration. The racket needs to move fast to play at the highest level of the game today. Question, Gabbers?
Acceleration, would you toss some swing ball in there?
Yeah, well, I have a whole chapter in my book on that. Because, as some of you may know, that in Spain, they are obsessed with acceleration of the racket. The best example, you probably can think of who has the best example of that. Rafael Nadal. And Nadal has unbelievable racket speed, but it's not by accident that he has that. I'm telling you that they train that. They train it from 10, 11 years old. And in my book, I have a whole chapter on that with the different drills that they do to promote acceleration. And some of it is genetic, so you're not going to take a kid who has no fast twitch and create a Nadal forehand, but you can definitely improve the acceleration of the arm, and you can create a heavier ball with systematic training of acceleration, and that's something that we don't do a lot here in the U.S. We have a lot of coaches who stress, you know, making good form. You see a lot of strokes like that, and those players become really good college players. But they don't make it on tour because they don't have a big enough shot. If you're working on racket speed from 10, 11, 12 years old, you're gonna have, you know, if you maximize the power and acceleration of the player, you're gonna get something at the end, I think, a lot better. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a really long discussion about is the Spanish system effective for girls, and what there's actually a big debate about that, about you know why isn't Spain producing as many top women as top men? But to answer your question in a short answer is it depends on the girl you have in front of you. I don't think some girls can create the heavy ball that they don't have the explosiveness in their arm, so they need to hit flat. You need to teach them the flat style. But there are a lot of girls who are quite powerful. You can see some examples on the tour now. We see more and more women's forehands that are actually more like the men. They have similar ATP technique structure. You know, if you're familiar with like Rick Macy's work on an ATP style forehand, or Dr. Brian Gordon's work on the ATP style forehand, you see a lot more women with ATP structured forehands, and a lot more women hitting heavier topspin off their forehand. You know, so you start to see that more and more now, and I think that is the future of the women's game. I personally don't believe the future of the women's game is the kind of the traditional style of hitting really flat. That's because we're getting better and better athletes in the women's game. But you will see some girls that you try to do some of the Spanish drills with them, and they just can't generate enough explosiveness here to get the ball fast with topspin over there. They need to hit the ball flat to be effective. So you have to keep an open mind about that. There's no one way for teaching. You know, I wouldn't say all girls have to hit heavy spin. That would be crazy. I'm going to try to get through a couple. How much time do we have? Oh boy. I have a lot of good ones to share with you guys. I wanted to show you this variation here. There's actually studied with Rafa's assistant coach. His name is Francisco Roy. I pronounced his last name wrong, but he has a great variation. Let me show you that really quick, and then we'll try to. I'll just show you that quickly. It's a really cool variation. So Juju, what you do is you go out for that one, and then you just keep shuffling. Do you remember that one or no? So this is Rafa's travel. His travel coach, his name is Francis Roy. And you see, and when Uncle Tony is not traveling with Rafa, Francis travels with Rafa. He's a really great coach. Last year I actually went to his academy. His academy is called Barcelona Total Tennis, and I actually took a lesson with him. It was a lot of fun. And he was not very, it was pretty tough on me. He made me do this drill, so I'm going to show you. I have an affinity in my heart for this exercise. It's a good one. It's the emergency drill, but as the player's coming back, they just keep going with the shuffle, and then you give them another one. And sometimes it's done with the racket too, right? So here we go. Okay, please keep going. I need a little. There you go. You have to be ready. And so what you can do, this is for more advanced players. I would just do the basic one for younger little players. And then so sometimes right, we'll go make it progressively harder and harder. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Go. Shuffle. Good slide. Shuffle, shuffle. Go. Come on. So what I like about this one, you can do this with the racket as well. It has more of a reading component because the player is going here and now the player has to watch the coach. He has to watch the hands of the coach, and he has to make an anticipatory read with the eyes. You know. All right. I wanted to do one last really good one. Okay, counter punching, guys. Do you guys accept the way I parsed counter punching versus defense? I mean, does anyone want to help me with this one? Anyone who loves to rush and crush the net? Come on, somebody. Anyone? Yeah, Mike. Come on, Mike. Round of applause for Mike. Mike is my new favorite. He's my new favorite student. Okay, guys, I really love this drill. This one I learned from Javier Piles. Javier Piles is, does anyone know, Gold Star? If you know who Javier Piles coached for 15 years on the ATP Tour. Anyone? Do you know Juju? No? He was David Ferrer's coach for 15 years since he was a junior. So this is a drill that, it's actually on the ITF website, so you can actually see Javier Piles doing this exercise with David, which is really cool. And is David a pretty good counterpuncher?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, right? So when I saw his Javier doing this exercise with David, I was like, wow, that explains it all. I'll show you how it looks. So you can do this as a coach. You can also have players do this themselves. So what's going to happen? I'm going to toss like this, and I'm going to give the player an opportunity to read with the eyes. Ready, Juju? I'm going to try this. And then Juju's going to try to pass it. I'm going to come in and look for a volley. Ready, bud? Here we go. And we can play it out. Want to try it, Mike? All right. So you got to toss it up. But you toss it really high to work on the player's anticipation and reading. So right now he's reading from about 60 feet, maybe a little more. And we want to try to develop the instincts to counter punch here. Go ahead. Go. Play it up. Want to try this, Alexis? This is really good for your passing shots. You can do this with your dad. It's awesome drill. Ready? Try to read it. Oh, you read it wrong. I didn't say, were you reading it?
I was trying to.
So that's a testament to my disguise, I guess. Okay, ready? Let's try it. Read it. Try to read my body language. Oh, that's too good. I should have approached to your forehead. Your backhand's too good. Ready, Mike? Go, bud. All right, try again. But I just think the exercise is exceptional because it gives the coach a lot of control. And remember that in the Spanish system, they work a lot on how to receive the ball. And this is an example where the player is reading, trying to read the intention of the attacker, and the player is trying to counterattack. In this situation, there's no real defense from this situation. If a player comes to net, you're forced to counterattack. You need to hit a shot a passing shot, which is by definition a counterattack. Very good, my God. Very good disguise. Want to take on Alexis? I'd say give her time to read it. Try to read it. Good job. All right, ready? Read it, try to make it a statement. That backhand's too. Round of applause, unbelievable backhand. Alexis, you have a world-class backhand, honestly. One more and then we'll wrap it up. Let's get in there. All right, I'm going to try to the forehand. Let's come to the forehand, Alexis. Are you ready? Okay. I told you where it's going. Okay, very good, okay. All right, any questions, guys? I think we have a few minutes. Thanks, guys. Round of applause for these guys. So good. Vamos, amigo. Any questions, guys? Should I keep talking? I have more exercises.
Don't sell out books to sell, maybe they want to buy a book.
Yeah, books. My publisher makes all the money from that, by the way. How much time do we have, Bruce? No questions? Okay, well, I can keep going.
What's your favorite?
My favorite. I really love this reaction drill. I use it all the time. The X is the most fundamental drill to just teach players about tactical movement and positioning. I have a good question with this classes in session here. Do you guys have a feeling about court positioning? Do you prefer your players to play? I think this is probably the biggest debate in modern tennis, to be honest. Should a player play primarily here? Or should a player, give ground? Talking about holding ground and giving ground. One of the most biggest debate, I think, in our time right now. And if you canvass the opinions of coaches in the room, you're going to get a lot of different opinions about where a player should play. Any thoughts? Opinions? Yes?
What are you seeing over in the Spanish system? Are they blended?
Okay. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah. So we talked about that yesterday. In Spain, they traditionally, like with the Pato Alvarez lineage and the Bruguera lineage, in Spain, they almost always go back. Almost doesn't even matter what type of shot. They will go back and let the ball drop and play heavy topspin. And I think sometimes to their detriment. What you see in modern Spanish academies with some of the younger coaches, the new guard of Spanish coaches like Albert Costa and some of the younger guys, is they have their players playing a lot tighter to the baseline. The best example of that's Jose Higueras. Jose Higueras is now, he's in the U.S., he's in charge of the USPTA, but he's a Spanish guy, and he has players playing very much in a hybrid fashion. They take the ball, they try to hold their position, but they're also willing to move back and absorb. And I think, to be honest, that's maybe the ideal to teach a balance nowadays. And I think Jose is doing that better than anybody. Yeah, Tony?
One of the differences between Spanish coaches and players and Americans, Spanish say eye, feet, and then the hands, and Americans are more eye, hand.
Yeah, well, that whole concept of the eyes and the hands and the feet, I think that comes from Jose. I think that's his you could say the Higueras lineage in Spain. But there's multiple lineages depending on what part of Spain, like Emilio's from Madrid and Mr. Bruguera is from Barcelona, so and Pato Alvarez is from Barcelona. There are great coaches from Spain down in Valencia, so it depends on what region you're in. But to answer your question, in Spain, everything is integrated. They don't focus only on hands or technique. Everything is integrated. So, that's what I try to show you guys here. Is even though we're working on footwork, I always try to relate to the players something in their mind, to work something in their tactical understanding, and that's how you can accelerate the learning curve that way. Because if you just focus on one little detail here and another detail here, and everything's compartmentalized, you can end up with a good hitter of the ball, but not a very good player. And the ultimate goal is what we're all trying to do is to develop very good players, not just good strikers with the ball or good physical movers. And I think that's what they figured out in Spain. They don't have an obsession with technique. You know, the technical parameters in Spain are quite broad, and they focus in a holistic, integrated way, which gets tremendous results. They have a lot of good athletes, and then they train them holistically. They train their eyes and their mind and their hands together in that way. And I think you can see that the results are extraordinary. And that's something that Jose has been trying to implement here in the U.S. He's been trying to get more and more coaches to work more holistically and less, with less obsession with technique.
All right, guys, we're going to stop there. Chris, give you a round.
Thanks a lot. I'm hanging around until 3:30, so if you have any questions.